Hola chicas and chicos! This video by Johnny Cat, me, for Fit Cat Fitness goes out to Jess Hennig, who asked about pre and post stretching. I'm going to do this video in a couple of parts because I think it's really important to understand the background of why it is that we need to stretch, or at least why I believe we need to stretch, and why I incorporate it into my training programs. But also I'll get into the techniques in the second video. So my first video, what I want to talk to you about is just basic body structure. So your body is made up of a skeletal system, we all know that. The skeletal system helps us stand up and to move, right? On top of that are the joints and the muscles, the tendons, the ligaments that hold it all together so that we can provide for leverage. Now if I'm lifting, I need this leverage in order to lift heavy things, and that's really important. But the other thing that I need my muscles to be able to do is I need for them to be able to stretch. Now some people in the lifting community, and I admire a few of them very, very much, get enough stretching just based on the things that they're doing, in their functional fitness that they're doing in their lifting, and that's great. I personally can't get that. My body's just not put together that way. Also, I have a particular family history of rheumatoid arthritis, as well as some bone density issues. My husband's family has degenerative back disorder that runs in his family, and so we have personal issues along with lifestyle issues that have caused us to not be as mobile in the past years. In fact, about 6 years ago I could barely even touch my toes because I had adapted my body not to the fitness lifestyle that I had had in my youth, but to sitting hunched over a desk, to walking in heels, to doing a lot of things, sitting in a car driving a lot, and really not being as active as I thought I was. Here I was a teacher for years and then a mental health counselor and walking around schools and hospitals and things, and yet I really wasn't as active as I thought that I was. Not until I got back into the gym and started doing functional fitness in the gym. So I think stretching is so vital to that. Now there's a few different types of modalities of stretching. Basic stretching or static stretching is just staying isolated in one spot. It's isometric stretching. Yoga incorporates a lot of this, where you're just holding poses for long periods of time. Another type of stretching is dynamic stretching, which is more Pilates-like, where you're actually moving into the stretches themselves. So in yoga, when you're stretching, you are moving not only the bones of your body, so let's take like just a basic warrior stance here. So I'm moving not only the bones of my body are holding me up, but I'm also moving the joints and ligaments, and tendons in order to stretch those muscles out. So in a basic warrior stance, when I've got my hip flexors and I've got my arms up, I'm stretching in multiple directions. See, I'm stretching back, I'm stretching forward, and I'm stretching up, and I'm also stretching down. So I'm actually stretching in 4 different directions, but if I hold this, like in traditional yoga, then I'm just doing an isolated static stretch, which is stretching those muscles, those tendons, and those ligaments so that I can get more mobility. Now, how does this work functionally? I take oxygen into my body in order to fuel my muscles, right? So as I'm doing yoga, for example, I'm breathing in and breathing out in a very controlled manner, and what that's doing is that's allowing for my body not only to get the benefit of the oxygen moving into my muscles to help strengthen them so that I can lift heavier later, but also what it's doing is it's increasing my VO2 max, which I really, as an athlete, I want to do that. That's part of what's important. The other thing that breathing does, especially in yoga and Pilates, is that it allows for the diaphragm to stay static and to be stronger, because the diaphragm is what helps us breathe. But it also allows us to move better into the motion. So in yoga, what I'm using the breathing for is to breathe in, and then as I breathe out, I'm able to really move into the stretches and get more flexibility and mobility out of those joints and tendons so that I can move better. And again, this is all about leverage, so that when I get to the lifting part of my exercise program, then I'm going to be more functional. When I get to the cardio part of my exercises, I'm also going to be more functional, because now I've blended together the different systems of my body. I'm working my bones to realign my body in the right way that I want it to align in, so that I'm readapting myself. I'm using my ligaments, my joints, and my tendons and my muscles in order to increase my longevity and my elasticity. What I'm also doing is when I lift in the gym and I'm using that leverage, I really want to put time under tension on those muscles. That time under tension will actually improve the way that my muscle tears down, because we know that when you tear a muscle down when you're lifting heavy and then you rebuild it eating a lot of protein, then what you're doing is you're increasing your muscle mass, which is going to protect your bones and actually allow them to become stronger and healthier. But it's also going to increase the amount of lean muscle that we have so that we can burn more fat. So really, it's kind of a win-win situation. I can get people very sweaty and very deep breathing in a yoga routine, in just a basic stretching routine. And they're using their own body weight for some resistance, and they're also lengthening and stretching, putting those muscles time under tension. So stretching's, in my opinion, very important. I think that having the ability to be able to touch my toes as well as lift heavy is going to allow me to elongate my time. I'm going to be a lot healthier and a lot stronger for a longer period of time in my life. So that's our first video. Second video, I'll get into actual stretching techniques.